Welcome back to That's Delivered Podcast. I'm your host, Trucking Ray, and this is where we celebrate the road, rigs, and the big stories of trucking. Today, we got someone who's been representing truckers for on the screen for years. He's been in the American Trucker. He's been on the Speed Channel. Rob Mariani is back behind the camera with passion for a project, and also has a soul for trucking and documentary. So we want to welcome him to the show, and he's going to tell us about his Hollywood stunt legend and all this with Mike Ryan, and bring the spirit back to life for so many people out there that want to know more about trucking. So Rob, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Ray. It is going right as rain. If we're walking and talking, it's a good day, right?
That's right. That's right.
You get another opportunity to take a whack at it. And that's kind of what I've been doing. This being 2025, the anniversary year of White Line Fever, the movie that came out in 1975, sort of was the impetus for this year's motivation, if you will, or inspiration.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, the decade of the 70s, when I was a little kid growing up, I was born I was a kid throughout all the 70s. And when you're a little kid that's, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old, and you become enamored with trucks like I did, you don't have the world that I should say the kids nowadays, or it doesn't matter what hobby you have or whatever you're into, the internet and everything that goes with it is like the candy store of all candy stores. There's nothing you can't find, trace, get references on, but there was none of that way back then. There was no, you can just go on and Google that and find a photo of that really cool truck. You had to go to the 76 truck stop to see the 359 Peterbilt, or be on the interstate while it was rolling down, hauling bread, to the Mrs. Carl's bread store. And that's what I grew up in. So every time I would see trucks, and growing up in Milwaukee in the city, I would ride my bike or my skateboard to all of the local places that were the factories. It's blue collar town, and you could see semi trucks everywhere. And I just became sucked in and enamored with it. And then the older I got, when I say older, when you're cognizant that your grandfathers are truck drivers, about that age, whatever it was, 5 maybe, that I realized that both of my grandfathers were truck drivers. They drove for Gateway and Yellow. Yeah. And then that became more fuel for my passion about trucks. And then we couple that with my grandmother, God bless her, Molly. She ran a tavern in Milwaukee for 48 years. So in the mid 70s, she was humming right along with her business that she's had for decades. And it just so happened that one of my grandfathers drove for Schlitz and Schlitz beer, and she had a Schlitz beer bar, and he drove B Model Max with the kegs of beer and delivered them to her tavern. So when I'd see that, it became more and more like dumping fuel on my fire. And then that same grandpa Emil, he had a subscription to Overdrive magazine, and that would come in the mailbox. You didn't go online and see the local whatever article that whatever they had. Overdrive has now, it's all online. And I would get those magazines that were fresh. He would look at them for maybe 15 minutes, an hour, and then he'd give them to me. So I had a stack of Overdrive when I was a kid. And if you can imagine, I don't know, I'm already bit by the trucking bug as a little kid. And then going through those magazines and seeing the ads for Wilson antennas, or the model of the month, or the tractor of the month, it just was crazy. Plus, they had really hot models on the cover. That was awesome. I always liked I knew what a pretty girl was, but I wasn't into that for that per se. But it certainly is cool. When you get older, you're like, damn, Overdrive was just so badass. It was just a badass magazine. And still is, but it's not like it was.
It's Milwaukee, huh? My mom's from Milwaukee. She went to
Milwaukee. There we go. I like it.
Bruce is King, and she knows about slits and all that. She's just telling me about that. So how cool is that? Yeah,
absolutely. So that became the impetus, and then all of a sudden, so White Line Fever comes out in 1975. My parents weren't exactly. I'm a middle child of 7, but we didn't have 7 then. I think we had maybe 4 or 5. So I was either the youngest or somewhere in the pecking order when White Line Fever came out. And it wasn't like my parents would take us to the theater to go see White Line Fever. It wasn't a family, let's all go see White Line Fever. So I didn't get to see it when it was released, but it came out a couple years later, maybe on the Late Late Show, I think it was. And when they would re-air the whatever, any distribution for a film or any project like that, you would ring the rag out in the theater, what did it make at the box office? And then we'll kick it into the drive-in theater. And then the advent of VCRs and things they were a few years in the distance yet. Mm-hmm. So when I saw it a year or two later, I remember seeing the ads for it on the TV because there was only like 3 channels when I was a kid. You'd watch NBC, CBS, ABC, whatever, or public channel on the click dial. You literally change the dial. And I would see the late show, White Line Fever, and the truck driver who's had enough, or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh my God! And I remember saying to my mom, I have to stay up late. And she let me. She said, you can stay up late and watch the movie. That was like super steroids for me. It was like the DuPont blasting machine went down and the dynamite blew up in my brain with White Line Fever. Nice. Have you watched it? Have you gone in to retroactively watch the film? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I got to check it out now, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. And what's great about it is it was at the time. Now, time as a construct is such an illusion to everybody. I feel no different than I did when I was a kid talking to you about White Line Fever as an adult now. I mean, I don't know. There's no gap there. For me, the passion meter has always been pegged. And it doesn't matter if I'm old or not or young. It's all the same to me. Wow. So the movie was captured as a depiction of real life trucking and some of the plight that trucking was facing with corrupt brokers. Shocking. My God, corrupt brokers. Can you imagine that? Double dipping and all the rest of it. So what's old is new. So when they created the film, when it was written by Jonathan Kaplan, they wanted to capture the turbulent 70s, and they did it well. And every aspect that they did of it was done with the direction or the technical direction of Mike Parkhurst, who was the editor and the creator of Overdrive magazine. So if you've seen Smoking the Bandit, or if you've seen White Line Fever, or if you've seen Duel or Convoy or any of the classic trucking films, and you can go all the way into Black Dog, you can go into every movie that you've ever seen with a truck that's involved with a truck, including the 18 Wheels of Justice that used to run on the Nashville network, any of those shows. Mike Parkhurst, if you go on to IMDb, is listed as the technical consultant. And I mean, I've done my homework on him, on everything, on every friggin' movie, including Spielberg's debut with Duel in 71, all the way through until he died in, God bless him, in 2013. And I got to be friends with Mike before he died. But anyway, the reason why White Line Fever resonated was because they went to Mike Parkhurst. He was the technical guy to say, this is how this scene should look. This is how the brokers talk to the truck drivers. This is how the loads from the, Red River, where he was the fictitious trucking company that he was leased onto. This is how they did it. So when you watch that movie, the great thing that'll stand out is the vintage aspects, because you're talking cab overs, you're talking conventionals, there is no plastic. No. I love Freightliner, but everything now is so hard to tell apart. They're all monochrome looking, plasticky, windswept, aerodynamic rigs, which I understand the need of that for fuel. But back then it wasn't. And there was all this character. And that's the cool thing about it, that it captured all of the essence of what it was like for me being a kid, looking at it in real time, going down the road in my parents' motorhome and seeing a Ford W Series cruise on by, at 5 miles an hour faster than you're going, which is a slow pass, so you seem like,
the slow pass.
Look at his dual antennas. This is unbelievable. I go hog wild.
How young were you? What's the youngest?
I was seven when I saw White Line Fever. 7.
Wow.
7, something like that. But remember, I'm building models. I'm reading Overdrive magazine. I'm going to truck stops every weekend in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. If you know where that is on I-94. Yep. Mm-hmm. They had a 76 truck stop, which my grandma would take me there every Saturday we'd get strawberry pie, ice cream, and I had a 110 clicky camera, and I'd go up and down the rows knocking on truck doors.
Yeah.
Hey, can I go in your 352 Peterbilt? And the truck drivers, who were like salt of the earth guys, that would not only, and they everything from the way they dressed to the way they carried themselves to the way they maintained their trucks, polishing up all while they're on their break. I was never turned down once. I think I might have got turned down once from a guy that had to leave maybe the fuel island, but they never turned me down. They would get out of the driver's seat, let me go up inside. Most of them would let me start it and turn the key and hit the button. And I could go, I went crazy. And I mean, I did this, Ray, I did this for 15 solid years as a kid, 15 at least, just nuts on all of it.
No, you were getting content back then.
What White Line Fever, I didn't know. I was just creating my own. The content was there. White Line Fever, though, is it's a complete time stop if when you look at it, and then you factor in how absolutely brutal the industry can be, and even though it's a Hollywood film, it resonated big time, and it made a lot of money at the box office. It was critically acclaimed, and it's aged like anything, like fine wine, because you can never see that era of trucking ever again. It's long gone. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in it and to be immersed in that on that passionate side, which is where all my passions came from. And when I mentioned that White Line Fever was it definitely one major aspect of me creating the American Trucker television series, that's not hyperbole. It's very true. All of those little nuances and things that I picked up from all just being a fan, and then my grandfathers never left me. And that's why when I went into, the creative world in my adult years, I went to college for design. I started working at loading docks when I was in school because you could make big bank at the loading docks.
Yep.
And I would load. We worked at a big glass warehouse that did international like glass shipping and things, and they had crazy specialized 18-wheelers to haul glass to job sites, and they had two 83 and 84 CL 9000 Fords. They had an LTL 9000 with a 13-speed 350 small cam Cummins, big cam Cummins. They had a Mack cruise liner, a 75 Mack cruise liner with a Maxidine and a 5-speed. And I don't know if you've ever been around one. All drivers out there, that they'll laugh at me, but they'll know to drive a Mack 5-speed is one of the hardest things in the world. Manual steering. That was the first truck I ever got to drive from my boss. Would let us drive these things, and we didn't have CDLs, but we knew how to drive them because he taught us how to drive them. We had to drive the trucks everywhere. Load up, go get trailer number 8, hook it up to tractor 5, and I'd be like, yeah, CDL or the LTL 9000. They had an LTL 9000, which was a conventional with a 36-inch bunk on it, which was like, if you go look up that truck now, it's super, super badass. We had one of those. Anyway, all of those components fed into me then sitting down to write what would become American Trucker, the TV series. Most people think that I was just like an actor and I was plugged in because I'm crazy hyper to do the show. I wrote it all. And I spent years trying to get the show off the ground. Actually,
You're also hosting.
The hosting aspect for me is, I've always told people I'm an Italian kid from the Midwest, so there was no problem with me with the camera. I talk to you like I talk to a camera. It's all the same to me. So the camera is very weird, though. I can't just say, arbitrarily let everybody can do it. The camera sucks energy out of you. And if you've ever had to stand and do any kind of live thing, or God, certainly hosting a show with no script, and that camera, when that camera is put in front of you, let alone if there are people around you, all you can feel is like this vortex sucking energy out of your mouth, and you'll end up saying dumb things, or you'll end up like, I don't know what to say. I just naturally had a talent for it to stare at the barrel of the lens and deliver the message I'm trying to bring everybody into what trucking is. And so it took off. It took off with trucking fans.
Yeah. So how did it come about? What was some of the origin of that?
Well, I almost got the show funded independently from Pilot Travel Centers in the mid 2000s. I was invited to what they call Pilot University. Okay. And that's where all of their corporate business deals happen, or wherever they, it's like their Oz behind the curtain empire, if you will, if you go into Knoxville. And what I did first is I wrote it because, again, I go back to my design prowess. I wrote everything in PowerPoint. I would just build elaborate PowerPoints to write and then get my message across with graphics and video and things that I would want so that I could pitch it to get to the next level. So it's one thing if I could pitch you on a phone call or in this case, internet, something like that. I didn't really have that stuff was around when I was doing this. It was called, I think it was called, I can't remember the name. There was not Zoom, not what's the one around with this duck here? What's this interface we use?
This one's StreamYard. Yeah.
StreamYard. So there's a lot of them. This one seems pretty cool. I've never used this interface.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's very good. But the software was still evolving in those days where you could get, WebEx it was called. Yeah, so I put it together for a WebEx meeting. And so what I would do is I would script myself, even though I was never scripted on American Trucker, and I'm not scripted now, certainly, I would just make myself some notes that I could spin it where I could read it if I had to get somebody on a voicemail and it sounded organic. Right. I would make sure I wouldn't miss my points. So I would, because all I was used to was rejection. Who is this guy that's calling? I can't even tell you all the companies I would call. I would do I would target what would be relevant for the industry, what would be a good sponsor for this, what this segment could be, all of those things. And then I would call through the firewall. If you can imagine calling Pilot Travel Centers. Now, this was back in, again, the mid 2000s, early 2000s. There's a litany of people that are listed from the marketing on down and who's in the executive VP of blah to get to whoever that gets to whatever. So I would delineate who and what, and then keep my target numbers ready to go. And then I would wait and I would rehearse myself and I would read what I could write in case I get voicemail, because I knew that I was going to get voicemail. And, once you get voicemail, you can trip yourself up. Hi, it's John. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. So I started leaving these relevant, but when I say relevant messages where I didn't want people to ignore me. I didn't just want to sound like I was selling insurance to somebody over the phone. I was coming up with things that were like trigger words that might get them to call me back. And I would keep it short and sweet. Well, one day, and this is after, I don't know, lots of rejection, I wouldn't get any responses back. I get this phone call. Hi, is this Rob? Yes, this is blah, blah, blah from Pilot Travel Centers. And I said, oh, great, excellent. Thank you for the call. And I remember her saying, get a piece of paper. This is the number you need to reach. I'm not the person. And they've been not ignoring me, but they know that when they came in, it took a long time for them because I was congenial with them. I didn't want to pester them. And I would even write down on my calendar when I left a voicemail for who, so that I would space it out and not be one of these abrasive,
right. Do that.
And so I was like, oh, great. She gives me the number, a name of the executive vice president of the national marketing director of Pilot Travel Centers. And she then cleared me through the firewall and said, there's a guy, blah, blah, blah. I set it up. She said, she called me up and she said, now I have the big one on the line here, the big fish. And she said, I'm going to give you, I like what you've got. She said, I'm going to give you a 2-hour WebEx meeting and you can pitch me. And if I like it, I'll take it to the executives. If not, I wish you the best of luck. I said, okay, great. So now at this point, Ray, I'm calling a couple of guys that I know that are in corporate marketing for like wireless, on the wireless side. They would sell the insurance policies to like all the major carriers. This is a good friend of mine. And so I would kind of bounce some ideas off of him over beers and do some things. And I'd say, okay, once I told him that I had the WebEx meeting, his antenna went so far up. He's like, what? You've got a meeting with the blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. And so they're like, oh, now suddenly the attention starts to come on. Oh, Crazy Rob has a dedicated WebEx meeting with the executive VP of marketing for Pilot. That's no small affair. And I pitched her on and had my PowerPoint running. It wasn't called American Trucker. It was like it, but it wasn't quite what it became. And she said after the meeting, she said, I am very excited about it. She said my passion for the project, she said, is uncharted. She said, I'm going to bring this to the executives and congratulations, I'll get in touch with you. And that's kind of how it went. Nice. And then from there, they invited me into Knoxville and I had high level meetings with, I mean, everybody from the, you can cut this if you want, or you can do whatever you want with this, but this is a very interesting little side note. This is some good dirt for you. Pilot travel centers, I don't know if you remember this. They got involved. They got their hands slapped big time by the feds. They were bilking people out of their fuel points, and it was a major sting, and the feds came in and raided Knoxville, where I was. It was, you can find this story, and the guy's name rhymes with, it's like a nut. Okay, I'll just say that. It's one of the nuts. I don't want to give his name, but you could say an almond, or you could say a walnut, or you could say a blah. You'd eventually figure out his name because it's going to show up in the news stories. He was a perp walked. The guy that said to me after on my next meeting with him, he said, Rob, this is what he said. My ass is puckered up on this chair. I'm so excited. He said, your passion, he said, is off the charts. And my interest level is 9.5 out of 10. That's what he told me in the meeting, in the in-person meeting. Well, this guy then got perp walked years later. He's kind of whacked out. But sorry, that's where it sort of crumbled down the mountainside. Okay. They were going to fund what was going to be American Trucker. And this isn't conjecture. So whatever you're saying out there to you lawyers, all I'm saying to you is the honest to God truth. This is just how because people say, how did you get American Trucker? Because I basically climbed Mount Everest to get to the show. And it was from my childhood on. Yeah. And so it didn't happen. I ended up spending a lot of money, the money I didn't have, on lawyers to wiggle my way out and get control back of my intellectual property. Because then what happened was these guys that came in when they smelled all the money, and there were millions of dollars in at stake to fund the show. And when people smell money, that's when you see who's honest and who's not real fast, and these guys tried to usurp me and melon ball me out of it and act like it was their thing. And I ended up getting it. I then went on, I don't know, I was doing interior design and I was a little dejected at that stage, but then the show came on this HETV. It was a Sunday night show. It was their biggest show. It's called Design Star. And they had this, it was season 1, and they had designers from all over the nation could join and try to get on the cast of this reality show where you could win your own reality TV show doing a design show. And I had friends from all over and clients that, because I've done a lot of cool stuff that was in magazines, got a lot of magazine work from hot rod guys and things. I've done hot rod garages and just cool stuff. And they would encourage me, you should send your stuff into that show before the deadline. And I was like, I'm not going on television. I'm not doing any of that. I'm a private person. This is just how I am. And so I thought, but I accrued such a portfolio from my design stuff that I thought, all right, I'm going on with the hidden agenda. I'm going to do it. I'm literally, Ray, made the deadline by maybe 10 hours on FedEx because the cutoff was so tight, and they wanted you to do, this is in 2007-ish, somewhere. They wanted you to do, film yourself with an interior, a commission that you've done for a client in the space that you've done, and then about yourself, and then send in 3 of your favorite examples of your portfolio. 3 for me is like, I have 3 million photos. How am I going to pick 3? Well, then just so happened that I can pass the smell test for you, Ray, because back before this ever happened, I already bought a 74 Ford W9000 out of Smithville, Tennessee, with 53,000 original miles on it, which was the exact truck that I wanted to build the Blue Mule for White Line Fever. And I was doing this in 1999-ish. Okay. I was obsessed with this thing. Okay. Since I was a kid. So I already had my truck, and it was in Florida where I live. And I had filmed myself with it because it's who I am. And I'm like, blah, 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 and this and that. Well, I FedExed the thing out to LA thinking that if they could, maybe if I got a bite off of that apple, maybe I could parlay that into trying to go back to my truck show, which is what I'm trying to get. I don't want to do a design show, but I thought, okay, but I don't know. I just put the stuff out there. I got a phone call from the guy's name was Jesse. He was a producer. He said, "Hi, Rob. My name is Jesse. I'm a producer with HGTV. And I have a couple questions for you." I said, "Shoot." He said, "Let me understand this. Do you do interior design? You're overtly straight and you own a big rig? Is that correct?" And these were the three questions he asked me. And I said, yes, and yes. So
Yeah.
I'm an anomaly. I'm already so far out on left field that here comes this butch dude with a big rig that does interior design. And I send in what I bought. My stuff was good. There's no, I can't say it wasn't. I mean, it was in magazines. So it went down the rabbit hole where they wanted me to be on this show, and I wasn't going to do it, but I ultimately said I was going to do it. I went on with the agenda of trying to get to another show after it. And when I went on to HGTV, I ended up being in the final four. I thought I was going to win, but the whole thing was rigged. That's a whole nother topic. We can talk about that later because there's lots of Design Star fans that are out there. The whole thing is fake. Reality TV is so fake. But Ray, what it did for me by going on that fishbowl reality show in Las Vegas and trying to just hold my own with these challenges was, if you could imagine, and in fact, I know that YouTubers can't imagine what I'm going to say. You can't imagine what it's like to be on a show like a Big Brother kind of a show, right, where you have, I counted them, no less than 25 big cameras, shooters, 25. When you see the local news guy or girl that's out on whatever and they've got the big camera on them, "Oh, we're live reporting at the scene of the illegal CDL crash," whatever that camera. Imagine 25 professional shooters that they get you at all angles from everywhere, and you're mic'd almost 18 to 20 hours out of a 24-hour day. So whatever you say, imagine right now we're doing your podcast, and when we're not on your podcast, if you were mic'd and on camera, what anybody might be doing or saying throughout their day. Right. Anybody. So that's how it was. And they tried to get you at Gotcha TV. Well, I learned fast, quick, because they would say you have to be able to design and execute and host on the show. So I had invaluable experience going on a major show like that. That's a major operation sponsored by, it was Sears and God knows everything else. All of these major sponsors and corporate everything. You're in New York and Manhattan. You're in Los Angeles, blah, blah, blah. And I was in Hawaii. They brought me to Hawaii to do some other hotel rooms with the other finalists and all this crazy stuff. Yeah. I know I'm long, but when the edit, this should work for you. So after LA was the final obligation for the network, and we all had to be there in the studio. My good friend of mine, name is Matt. I've known him since he was 15. He was living in LA and he was working for a major Hollywood film director as his assistant. And he's a screenwriter, but he was cutting his teeth. And he was working for a production company that was in Ojai. And he said, when you come out to Los Angeles, extend your ticket and then stay with me for several days. And then I said, I will be so glad to do that, to decompress. Let's just cook some food, drink some wine, and get the hell away from fishbowl reality. I couldn't take any more of that. And it's crazy. It's a grind on you. It's a grind. And so I said, okay. And he said, bring your truck show, which was the PowerPoint, because I didn't have it into a video format like I could send you things now. Mm-hmm. But PowerPoint was used. Okay, so I brought it. And he said, I'm going to introduce you to my boss. We'll come in. And one morning we went in to meet his boss. His name was Steve. And I started whipping through it and started telling him what the show is and what I think it needs to be done. And it's about time somebody started singing the praises of the unsung heroes, because without them, you don't have a job as a TV executive. By simply, you have to eat food and put fuel in whatever car you're in. Yeah, I don't know who you are. The industry touches you. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're some, eccentric, crazy Hollywood executive living in the Hollywood Hills. You're affected by the industry just like we are. Okay, right. And so he went, "You're the show," and I said, "I'm not the show." I said, "Here's who I want." At the time, I had Jerry Reed. I had all these people that could host it. And I said, and he said, no, you're the show. So from there, it took me almost 3 years of going out with him on our own time and dime, filming places. He would say, I want you to give me some locations that we could shoot at. And I would say, absolutely. I have copious amounts of this stuff. So I said, oh, I want to go and shoot at the Nationals. I want to shoot at the Diesel Thunder Drags, all these things. And so we would pick and choose what for his schedule. I'm just going along doing what I'm doing
Right.
commercial interiors. And then he would say, I have a date on such and such for 4 days. Could we do something with it? And so we would hunt and peck. We would go and film a lot of the stuff that you'll see in the show Open of American Trucker, where I'm like, look at this lineup. And I'm going crazy in New Jersey. I can tell you exactly where every single one of those pieces were. And they ultimately built into the components that we were pitching to networks.
Okay.
And at the time, once we got that, it's called a sizzle reel in the industry. Once you get that sizzle reel done, which is the tangible at that time, it's probably different now in today's landscape of streaming. But at that time, you really needed to have that to get eyeballs from the networks to see if you were there. People try to get TV shows all day, every day for decades. You just can't get them. They're very hard. It was so hard to get a network to show. Well, we had at the time, it was what is Paramount now was True TV. It's still the same network. Paramount, History Channel, Discovery Channel, and Speed Channel, which was Fox, all were interested and wanted American Trucker. One came to the forefront because they wanted a primetime show, and that was Fox. And that's how the genesis of it got, to be, I guess, put into the chamber, ready to go. And once they picked it up, it's a great day in your life when you hear that a network has picked up your show that you've worked so hard to get. Mm-hmm. But then I'm terrified at the same time because I don't have a freaking clue how to host this show. And I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if people will like it. Yeah. Because if the networks, Ray, if you put out your show, and you know this, even when you put out episode 1 of your podcast, it's a giant gamble. Everything's a gamble. You don't know if someone's going to watch it or if you can hopefully just stay with it. If your numbers are low, you just got to keep going and going and going and going and going and keep climbing, right? So I thought, okay, here we go. Once we did it and once we hit the air, January 27th, 2011 was episode 1, season 1. The networks they do this. I know this now because I've been a producer in the game for quite a long time and I've got experience. They'll pull your show just like that. It doesn't matter how much they put in. If they don't get numbers that they want on that show that they put all their treasure into, you're pulled. You're pulled within 2 episodes. Wow. So when you go out onto episode 1, season 1, it's like walking off the proverbial cliff. I don't know where it's going. I mean, this is a passion of mine, but maybe it won't. Maybe people won't go crazy on it. Even though American Trucker is a show about trucks in the industry, it's not a show for truckers per se. It's a show for everybody because we educate people on history, and I took them into deep dives on things that they would never have a clue were involving, the industry.
Yeah,
and it took off. It went crazy. It was in the top 5 immediately, and out of 27 shows, and we just kept going. And the only thing that stopped it was we got our legs clipped out from underneath us because of the format change, where Speed wanted to have an ESPN rival, and they simply bumped everything and shelved. I didn't own. That was the other thing. I had to sign a grant of rights, even though I created the show. The grant of rights, anybody will know in contract language, it's kind of like your doomsday. You're not going to get anything out on the air if you don't sign it, because no network will ever let you control a network television show. Like if I'm Rob Rogue, executive producer, and I say it's my way or the highway, they don't want any of that stuff. The network ultimately owns it. Right. And when they fund it, that's how it works. So it wasn't mine. It was out of my control, but it's like, I look at it now, Ray, with where the industry is and the plight of today's industry being oversaturated with illegals that have come from every country there is, that have suddenly got a fake CDL from a 24-hour CDL mill. We can see it. We see the crashes. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. We know what the DOT is doing. They're cracking down. That the dichotomy from American Trucker to today and where the industry is it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
What's your thoughts on a lot of that stuff, man? I mean, you see the videos, you go online, and I mean, man, you're just like, another accident. How did they get that footage? Man, wow. What are we not seeing?
We did episodes on everything. I mean, everything. I've done heavy haul. I've done, we've hauled potato chips over the Continental Divide with Sassy Sandy, with Western Distribution, with Gino and everybody in Colorado, to NASA, to NASCAR, to UPS, I can't even tell you all the stuff that we've done. And we've covered a huge swath, ag, all of this. I look at where, and I went to CDL school. For those, this is what's relevant now to today's topic. Anyone can read now, and you have to be living under a rock if you don't know that there's a major problem in the trucking industry with illegal CDLs from foreigners that have come in from their country. I don't begrudge them trying to come in, but you've come in illegally. And then when you do that, you're getting a fake illegal CDL license, and you're putting you, me, and everyone else in jeopardy that's done it the right way. That's not the way the industry works. That just can't work. And you can see the carnage as a result.
Yeah, people are dying.
I went to CDL school on camera. Now, this is the thing. If you've gone to CDL school.
You did it on camera?
Why don't you do it on camera? Because it is not easy. And I can attest to, when I see this and I read about these stories with these CDL mills, my blood boils. Because I know they used to call it your COLA test, like your cutout low air, and all those things that you learn in school. I learned it on camera live, like a complete guppy fish, like everyone else. And then to do it, and I see this, how they've just, look, there's no sugarcoating it. The former administration was into some nefarious stuff, and they tried deliberately to flood in all these people and overwhelm the system, and they've done it. Now the trucking industry is catching all of it like a fish net, man. It's like a full net of trash that we've got to compete with, where we all know that they have watered down all the wages. It wasn't but 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that most truck drivers can make 6 figures respectably. On top of that, 6 figures all day. I have driver friends that were making big bank. You can't. I have friends that say, they were offering me a load from Georgia to New York for $800 or $600. It's like, what? Because some guy from Ethiopia or India takes that load. They're undercutting all of the wages. And then you have all these corrupt brokers that are in now. I've been told by guys that I know, they're on the road, that the Russians, okay, there's a whole influx of Russians, the brokers that have taken and figured out ways that they reset your 24-hour clock. And they've got guys out driving indefinitely because the electronic log says otherwise. But this crazy dude who's on pills, like the guy in California last week or whatever, that killed 3 people and plowed right into him without even stopping, and outside of Fresno or wherever he was on drugs and didn't even so much as slow down. We've got huge problems, and it bothers me immensely. And so I can look back and say, there something's gone awry here, and it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed in a big way, because there's pride. The pride is gone.
Do you think we'll be able to fix it? Do you think it'll get better, or what's your predictions on the next, let's say, 5 years?
I think, Ray, that from what I'm seeing in Florida, and at least Governor DeSantis is doing some great things where he is stopping everybody at the DOT stop, at the weigh stations. Okay. And doing checks. That is the perfect way to fish them out. You've got to go in. You know that, you're a driver. When it says it's open, you're hitting to the right. Okay. So, and then if you go in, and then they do these CDL checks, and they're pulling them out. I read they're pulling them out. It's actually frightening how many they're actually pulling off of the roads quickly. But that's, I think, a way that definitely is going to call the attention onto it, where they're fleeing now. And now that but there's so many other issues. You've got these leasing companies, these unscrupulous guys that are leasing these guys rigs, which have no business being in one. If your CDL is illegal, so is your insurance. Right. How are you supposed to get insurance if you're illegal and something happens, but you don't find out until after the fact, because they're all just like, hey, here's your bucks. Let me just give you what I got here. Get on the road. And then all the problems are backlogged, where now they're leaving trucks in the middle of nowhere. There's a shortage of guys even go get the trucks. That people don't think of that either. Oh, they pulled Manuel out of his DOT stop in Missouri. And where's his truck? It's over there in Missouri. Well, how's that small company supposed to be able to pay to fly the guy out? And
right.
so many ramifications to this. And listen, I wouldn't mind going out there with a cape if I could, and going out there and doing anything I could to help out. I could look at the catalog of American Trucker and the people that I know and who I've met, and certainly the large companies that facilitate this industry, certainly the Freightliners and the Max, who I've done some work for, and the Cobra Electronics. And there's just so many people that are affected by this, because we're all out here with, to no fault of yours or no fault of mine, we've gotten the food thrown on us. It's like the food fight. We're hit with it.
What do you think? What do you think it's going to do for a lot of those major companies that do need people to reliable truck drivers? Going to have a hard time finding them, and what's your predictions that you're hearing out there?
I've thought about this, because when I did an episode on UPS is the largest trucking corporation in the world. Okay, to go into there and get that whole episode done was not only eye-opening, but I saw it from so many different angles. And I know the episode that we did was called Searching for the Big Dog. And Ron Souter was a driver and he's retired now. Hey, Ron, hope you're out there, brother. Have a cocktail at your dog. He was such a cool guy. He was at UPS for, I think, 50 years, some crazy 9 million miles. I don't, some ridiculous number. I'm not even a scratch fender bender, nothing. 0 on his record. So I went to find him deep down inside of UPS in the episode to track him down. And I rolled with him from Cincinnati to Worldport and from Chicago. So we did some cool things in there. So to your question, what brings to mind my question is, how is a UPS? How is that type of a company handling this, where they all say there's a shortage, and we all know that half of that is talking out of one side of your mouth. They say it for whatever reasons. Oh, there's a shortage. No, there's not a shortage, but you brought in people that have watered down the wages, and they're not even legal. And that certainly is what you could say the shortage, and that fear porn, panic stuff again. Get them all to panic. There's a shortage. No, there really isn't a shortage. If you would have, I don't care who you are, what color, creed, or whatever your flavor of the month is, if you have a desire to go to CDL school and get a commercial driver's license legally through the schools, like I even did.
Yeah, same here.
Yes. And to wear that, there is an innate sense of pride and satisfaction that you get when you, not only did you set out to do it, because it's not easy to do it. Yeah. I was shitting my pants half the time with like, oh, we got to do the alley dock, and I'm on camera doing it. I'm on mic. I got cameras on me. Imagine you're in CDL school and you got cameras on you for the audience. It's like, oh man, if I screw this up, I'm gonna really get my ass kicked in the blogs.
Yes, but
all that. So
looking everywhere.
Yeah, all of that. That is such a, for me, it's like an American, almost like a birthright. You got your CDL, you've achieved the highest driver's license you can really get, certainly with your hazmat tags on there and all that. Yes, you achieve something that few people do. And if you do, once you get it, how in the world are you not so mindful of every day when you're getting in, holding that wheel and shifting gears, or in this case, pushing drive now, that you wouldn't have the pride that came along with it, that I knew.
You don't want to lose it. You want to hold on to it. Yeah.
Well, now they've watered it down to the point where I was just in North Carolina at Brad's, and I drive. It's a 8-9 hour drive for me, and every time I go every year, and just this, I make mental notes like nobody makes mental notes. I'm out there, Rob, from American Truck or whatever you want to. I'm in my car, and the lane jammers, I can't. They lane jam, these drivers now. They just get in the other, they're just sitting there holding up everybody. They won't even pass. They're so rude. There's no, half of the rigs, I make note of all the details, Ray. They're dilapidated garbage piles. They're, I don't even know how they're even allowed to be on the road. And you can always tell because one of them has like, hey, here's his name and it's taped onto the side of the door. Vigilante Express out of wherever it is with the temporary DOT number, right? And you're like, what is that truck? And it's cockeyed on the door. It's like, that is not exactly my type of American trucker. I don't know. I would have to call it anti-American trucker. What's on the roads. They don't. And going in the truck stop, flip flops, the pee bottles, the trash. It's so embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and it's really, it's gotten to the point where I fear, Ray, that the older generation, like guys my age, I'm in my 50s, that they're going out. They're getting out of those seats and they're not coming back. And so whatever the new influx is, somebody needs to get a hold of it and sort of, tie its bootstraps tight, get rid of all of this stuff and make it exactly like it was a whole 12, 13 years ago when I was doing it on TV. It's completely changed. The landscape is completely changed. And the reputation of truck driving now is, I'm not going to lie to you, it's in the gutter.
Yeah. DMV or DVS or whatever the state government agency that's there, they need to enforce it. Companies need to enforce it. Unfortunately, that's the last area where, we can stop it. Like you said, at those truck stops and weigh scales. I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, not just to say, well, I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they showed up. No, you should actually be ready to work. Like you said, even your footwear should be good to go. Like, what if you break down and the ground's soft and you got to get out and put your triangles out?
Your flip flops and you break your toe when you're and you're kicking on the step. There's a reason why truck drivers wear boots and jeans.
Yeah,
to protect yourself. Yeah, you're going out there with the glad hands and you got your t-shirt on and you're all full of grease. It's there's no the pride thing is gone. I think what they need to do is what we're talking about. Hit them right where they need to get them at the DOT stops. There's no way that you won't be able to flag them all down because if that they go rogue and blow by, you're done. Yeah. They'll find you. You're on camera everywhere. Right. They'll get those tags, and hopefully that's the way they can get them out. And then what I think needs to happen is there needs to be like a grassroots, and I would start at the high schools. I remember being in high school at the science fair. You're in the gym, and then all the recruiting for the job people are there. They should be right there getting the kids out of high school because it is still, if you go into it with the advent of technology now and the unbelievable things that these truck drivers have now, what you guys have at your disposal for a truck, not like a Blue Mule 1975 Ford W Series that, it had air, but that was about it. There was no GPS. There's no power, anything. What you have now is a very inviting world for the people that want to go out and still drive the miles and see the world and not be chained to a desk and do this unbelievably important job with pride. But it's just got to start. It can reset. I know that it could reset. And the DOT and the feds are where it can and will have to be reset.
Right.
They're going to have to gain control of it and then go out there and do a push and simply recruit these companies. If you watch these TikTok videos, I laugh my ass off on these TikTok videos where like the Werners of and you can blur out these names. We'll just call them the big box truck drivers, where they make fun of them with cartoons. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Where they've got the action figures with a big urine bottle as part of the accessories in the toy. And they've got all of these flip flops and all these things. It's absolute parody, but where does that parody come from? From reality,
right?
Comedy comes from somewhere real, and that's real. That's where it is. I just was out. I look at it all and I think, oh my, it was great though, Ray, when I'm on the road, when I can see, and very rarely do you see them, but they're there. You see the owner operators that are still out there, and their truck looks like night and day next to some other plasticky, whatever, rundown, fake driver rig. And when you see it, it's like, there's one of the last of the cowboys.
Yeah,
out still running, and that gives me hope. But it's this younger generation, and this is it's on topic. When I would go out and meet thousands, and I've met thousands of fans from American Trucker over the years, thousands of them at truck shows and whatnot. Yeah. And I loved them all. And I would talk to them as much as I could talk to them. And I would always ask them, what's your favorite episode? All kinds of things. And some of these kids were, didn't matter, boys, girls, maybe 10, 12 years old. And they were crazy. They'd never miss episodes. They'd tell me everything. They would quote me. Stupid stuff that I would say on the show, hilarious stuff. Then I've met them again, And there were drivers with CDLs that were 21 said, I got my CDL because of you.
Yeah.
And I just said, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I said, even if it was one person that made American Trucker a phenomenal success, it warmed my heart.
Nice.
You don't know who you're impacting
No.
and who you're influencing. And it doesn't matter. And I say that about any truck driver that could be driving down the road right now today. If you have pride in what you're doing, it's up to you guys individually to try to clear out all of this noise that has entered the industry and bring back some polish to it, some pride to it.
So what's your friend? Speaking of reset, what helped you? I know you've been through a lot yourself, even in the content world, the creativity world. I mean, you mentioned a few things to me backstage. There's been a lot of targeting that goes on, even with you as you're a public figure. I mean, man, if we can reset, I know you found some peace in your life. If we can reset the trucking world, we got to find that peace where we can bring it back to. Why don't you tell the listeners about what you've been through?
Man, well, in those of you that used to follow me on social media, this is around 2016. After American Trucker, I never left the game. I mean, I left the stage of network television, but I was a brand ambassador for Cobra for a number of years. I worked with Freightliner, I worked with Mac, and we've done some MCs and did lots of, can't even count how many truck shows I'd go to. And we would, as a producer, we're always filming things. So we were out in Sturgis doing some filming with Evel Knievel, because the Evel Knievel Mac that I did on my show, that truck has never left me. And all the guys that now have it at the Las Vegas Evel Knievel Museum, I think it's going to be moved there we restored the truck. I went out with Overdrive and did some podcasts over the years when we restored the truck after it was on American Trucker. And now it's like a showroom quality. It's a museum piece. So we were in Sturgis doing some filming with the truck, with the Evel's Mac and some other things. And a good friend of mine, name's Tom, sends me a text. Hey, have you seen this meme of you? And I didn't know what a meme was. It's 2016-ish. And I don't pay attention to that stuff. I'm kind of crazy that way. I don't really care about it. And I'm like, what is that? And he sends me this, and it's me, and it's this promo picture, and I know the promo picture well. I'm sitting in Jerry Howard's auto car, which is one of the most badass auto cars that the world has ever seen. I think there's a dozen in it. And it's me in this promo picture, which I recognize. And it says something like, you're not a real trucker unless you've hit a hitchhiker with a piss bottle. Some crazy, stupid thing that I would never let my young audience ever, I would never say such things. And so all I did was I went into Photoshop and I just crossed out the thing and put, not my words, never would be. That's it. Okay. I didn't cross swords with anybody. I didn't get into the keyboard warrior. You're a douche and blah, 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 blah. I'm Rob. I didn't care about it. I just put it out there. Well, then for some reason, this one guy, and I know his name. In fact, I know everything about him. He doesn't know that I know, but I know. I found out who it was. Started this avalanche of, I don't know if this was the early bot days, but it certainly seemed like bots. They were just pounding and pounding on my Facebook and Twitter, just going crazy on, the one guy doxed. It got to the point where I could care less. I wasn't, again, I don't want to go in there, and it takes two to tango. And if I go in there and start swinging, you'll be swinging, and then we're all in a fist fight. And so, but if you don't swing, you're not in a fist fight. I mean, you can defend yourself. That's what I was doing at this point. They publicly put out what they think is my address. It's a family member. It's not my address. And my family member has a disability. And they literally, I think I'm sort of paraphrasing it, was something along the lines of, here's the address. We're going to drive by and shoot that mother effer. And I mean multiple. And they kept going with the address, and they kept putting all the location. It got to the point where I had to go to the police immediately, my local sheriff. They told me exactly what to do. I said, I am a proud Second Amendment supporter. I said, I've got guns to defend myself in my house. If somebody comes to my house, I'm defending myself. They said, you need to put on a no trespassing signs. I got different cameras. I went to the news. I went to the news media. They didn't exactly give me the most flattering edit, because the point that I was making was, at the time, I'm Rob from American Trucker. And if they can do this to me, and still keep it up. That was my beef with Facebook. I complained in the early going, and whatever you have to go through that, some arbitrary, ridiculous, AI now gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy posted this, and can you please take a look at it in one of those things? But this is pre-AI. And so whatever the gatekeepers were then, they just decided that, no, this is all good. This is on the level. You can keep up all that. You can post addresses of my family and give me death threats. And it's not even me. They'll be killing my family and all these things. So I went to the media with it. And I, out of good conscience, and it took a little bit of a slow boil. And I was working on these projects. And it's the one thing about social media that I cannot stand. It's a constant vice on your skull that you have to be producing something. You have to be out there. Everybody thinks that everybody's word needs to be heard by everybody all the time. I'm just like, I don't want to bother people with whatever I'm thinking. People think whatever they want to think. I just stay in my own lane, right?
I'm the same way.
Yeah, you be you, I'll be me. We'll get along just fine, unless you do a piss meme and then threaten to kill me and all the rest of it. So it's like, okay, I bet I could find the letter. I wrote a well thought out letter to everybody on Facebook and all my ardent fans that were on there, that I, loved and adore them still. And I said, under as good faith, good conscience, I'm a man of principle. I have to walk the way I was raised, and I cannot stay on Facebook or Twitter. Jack was the owner of it then, and he was even worse of a tyrant than Zuckerberg was at that point, even though they've all flip-flopped since. And we've seen the ebb and flow and the evolution of social media and how the free speech is the greatest thing, and they've got all these free speech platforms, but yet they police free speech. So it's like, stop talking. You're a complete hypocrite. You're making money while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the only people that are out there and disenfranchised is you and me and everybody else that wants to pitch a bitch and gripe about something, which you have a right to.
Think about what's going on out there in, I think, the UK. 12,000 or more getting arrested for memes.
Can you believe it?
That's got to be devastating.
I mean, this is what I think that's the only good thing, is that now, because of the reach of it, they can't control it. The water's coming into the front of the Titanic, and they're not stopping it where they're caught, because they can't police everybody at every angle and get everything at all. And so now there's awareness going on, and people are seeing how tyrannical they are, and free speech must be preserved, because if you lose it once, that's the last time you're getting it. Right. It's the reason why the founding fathers came and did what they did to build the country and to establish the country in the Constitution, because we were still in a world that was like that then. It may not have been social media, but the tyrannical kings and leaders and imperial whatever, these people, these oligarchs, ruling over the masses, when the masses are the leaders. We're the rulers. It's not them. It's just small faction. And so now, after all of that, I pulled out of it, Ray. And it was good for me, because I didn't feel that vice on my skull, that you're always looking to post something and what should I say here? But if somebody says a spontaneous, they're watching something and they see it, and the worst thing you can do is knee-jerk reaction. And then when we knee-jerk with the keyboard, it doesn't go away. And then it stockpiles and compounds and rolls downhill like the snowball. And the next thing you know, you're completely canceled. This guy's a blah. I told you, when the Canadian truckers were doing their strike over the illegal mandate to have them take experimental vaccines for the whatever you want to call their virus, I went right back into action. I was banned on YouTube within 15 minutes. I was on 2 podcasts, and they banned me within 15 minutes. Wow. Because I don't go out there. I've never been one. I've done media in New York on those morning shows. I brought a 69 Peterbilt into Fox and Friends once upon a time. I've been out there. I've done, I can't count it all, what the things, even News Nation a year or two ago had me on. Whatever the stuff comes on, I don't go out and just disparage people and throw stupid, bombs at people. I just call it square, but I'm not afraid to call it when it's out in front of you, balls and strikes. That was absolute ridiculous. I don't know what you want to call it, tyranny that they were inflicting upon the Canadian truck drivers. So I was trying to get there, delivering socks and supplies to them, and then I'm banned. And it doesn't matter if you want to come out as a crusader against it. if your crusade is against the narrative of the ones that own those companies or the ones that are paying their bills, you're shut off. You're shut off. It's not like the town square where you can go out in the town square and they can hear you with the bullhorn, but that's it. And so if you're on the socials, oh, it's a double-edged sword. We have to stay as vanilla can get, and most of the stuff, or we're banned off, which pisses me off.
Yeah, I like the vanilla concept. I mean, that definitely does help keep it in perspective. A lot of times you can get caught up in all of it. I mean, it's a lot out there. I mean,
my God.
bombarded by the content. I mean, it's just
you do.
and like you said, taking that break gets that peace. I mean, that's huge. Good advice for a lot of people out there that may be going through the same thing. So I think the trucking industry will hear that, and when maybe we'll just stop posting all these things that are screw ups out there on the road. Stop giving them the attention that they're looking for, because they're just trying to get people to see how bad they can get the truck industry. I think that's something.
I think you're exactly right. And the way that think about it, it's the backbone. And if you could, mess up the backbone, the spine, well, you're really going to create havoc, right? I mean, it's there. It's getting into the backbone of our country, and it's arrived. It's like a cancer that's on it, and we need to get that gone and put the steel spine back together, which is the trucking industry. And because every single person on the planet, your entire life is predicated on food, fuel, clothing, or something that's delivered eventually by somebody with a steering wheel.
So when you devalue the human, and you think about all the money that goes into the autonomous trucks, if we can just make the trucking industry seem so terrible that the autonomous truck looks better, it kind of makes you wonder: is that intentional, or is this just happening by mistake?
Ray, man, I can't. Great, you're my kind of dude. I was just talking about the autonomous trucks. We've all read when the advent of the technology came on several years ago through Tesla. I remember reading where one Tesla guy was decapitated when he would get underneath an 18-wheeler because he was on autopilot, and the autopilot couldn't recognize the glare from the trailer and the sun, thinking that it was okay for him to drive underneath it, and he he chopped his own head off while he's on autopilot. Now, there's the flip side of that is, for me, the term is driving. I like driving.
Yeah, dude.
I don't need to get into what do you even need a driver's license for if you've got a car that will drive you somewhere. You don't need one. So driving is if you keep driving out of driving, I mean, what are we left with?
It's American dream. Having that freedom, the independence,
and the Tesla trucks. Although I think that I know that the evolution has always been there. Even when I was a kid, I remember seeing the turbine-powered Ford truck that they had out in the 60s. They were trying to do massive futuristic renditions of what the trucks of the future would look like, and they weren't far off at all. They were coming out with the arrow noses. In fact, in the 70s, you could get these arrow noses put on if you had a van trailer. They were called there was some kind of a bubble thing, and it was a brand name. You could put those on aftermarket. It was like a plastic bubble on your trailer. This is before side skirts and all that came on, but they were doing these evolutionary, inevitable changes to the industry and making trucks all look like. I mean, I am Rob from American Trucker, and people know that I'm a retro style dude and I like old iron. Okay, there's no doubt about that, and I have no problem with modern trucks. And the fact that they look. Unfortunately, they all look the same. Although I did see a new Volvo going to North Carolina that was pretty badass. Looked pretty good. And the new KW is badass too.
Yeah, they are.
There are those, but those are some of the manufacturers that I hope that Freightliner was doing it a few years ago with the Coronado. They really tried to embrace the retro look of the over the road owner operator rig with the Coronado, and that was always a good, I thought, a litmus test of where the balance of fuel economy and still not taking the character out of the trucks, but a lot of character's gone. And when I say a lot of character's gone, well, the character's gone between the mirrors, the driver character. The driver character right now is like, I'm wearing, a flip flops and whatever. They don't even. It's like they don't even care. They don't care. It's a job, and they're all of that pride stuff is gone, which is which is probably a good segue for me to mention to you why I am escaping it all with White Line Fever in 2025, where what's old is new, and it's the anniversary or 50th anniversary of this movie that came out. But Mike Ryan, who is a good friend of mine, is a stuntman in Hollywood for 35 years, and he's done
a lot of things, hasn't he?
A lot.
Man.
I met Mike at Freightliner and Richard Petty when we were in the booth for their 70th anniversary. I think that was somewhere around 2012. I met him way back then, and we got along immediately. And I started picking his brain because I love the craft of filmmaking and all. I love all of that.
Wasn't he in Terminator 2?
Terminator 2. He did some of the stunts in Terminator 2 with the wrecker.
So he knows about that futuristic stuff too.
Ray, the guy, you would love the guy. He's salt of the earth, and we've never not been friends. And so over the years, like when we were in Sturgis, we were going to do this thing for the Full Throttle Saloon at the time. This is before it burned. We were doing some things, and before they rebuilt, I should say, burned and then rebuilt. And so over the years, I've picked Mike's brain on a few things, and he's always doing things. I mean, he's done 5 or 6 of the Fast and Furious films.
Yeah.
I don't watch the franchise. I watched the 50s one. I like the 50s version, but I've never watched the franchise like the crazy fans that love it, which is great. But Mike is the guy that's doing the big stunts in it. It's not the cars. He does all of the big stuff. And when you've seen 5 or 6 of them, you already know Mike's work without knowing Mike.
That's crazy.
And if you're a fan of, whatever these movies, like you mentioned, Terminator 2.
I like Paul Walker.
Yeah, Paul Walker, awesome. Mike knew Paul Walker. He had nothing but great things to say about him. But again, we don't know how long we have on the planet. One day we're here and the next day we're not. And that's why when I say it's good to be walking and talking, it's true.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've got this White Line Fever episode that I was trying to get off the ground. And I thought the 50th anniversary would be the ultimate impetus to try to get that done. And so Mike and I started cultivating this thing in January, and it has taken a long time. And where we are now is we launched the Kickstarter. We did some stuff with Overdrive. We're supposed to go on do some satellite media. In fact, truth be told to the audience, Ray is a very cordial, nice man, because he had contacted me and I said, I want to do your podcast and I'm going to do your podcast. I'm just not at a point, because I couldn't say anything when I was doing with White Line Fever. I wasn't at a point where I couldn't get to it, but I'm a man of my word. So I said, when it came on and I got it back around, now the cat's out of the bag, which is why Ray's gracious enough to have me on to talk about it. Thank you.
No, you're good. Well, I got time.
So Mike Ryan he's personal friends with Buddy Joe Hooker, and Buddy Joe Hooker, again, people that don't pay attention, this is the storytelling that I love to tell to the audience, is that you might not know his name, but you've seen what he's done in his work. Because if you went out to IMDb, Internet Movie Database, and you put in Buddy Joe Hooker and you look at his list of films, and I don't care right now if you're a mom that's out there cleaning the bathroom or changing a diaper, or you're a dad in the yard putting a pine tree in, go look at his IMDb. I guarantee you with 100% certainty that you've seen or loved some work that either Mike Ryan or Buddy Joe Hooker has done that you don't get to see, because the second units that are in all the movies that make it look so good are the ones that you don't hear about. You'll see them in the credits, second unit director. Those are where the actor says, "I'll kick your ass." And then he cocks back, and then the second unit does everything from that on. The other stars don't even see the second unit. They're shot on different time frames, and they just piece the movie together with that. Well, in White Line Fever, they crashed a 1974 Ford WT 9000 big rig through the corporate glass house sign, and the nefarious, corrupt trucking company in the film was called the Glass House, GH. And the character had so much of the corruption in the industry. They tried to kill him. They killed his best friend. They maimed his wife. You need to see White Line Fever, because it's very much a hard-hitting depiction of trucking in the 70s and the plight that they were going through. But the stunt we get to is, for me, was always, it's jaw-dropping. When you see the actual real stunt in the end of the movie, for me, I've always lived in that pocket of how they did that, who did that, and how. I was always still framing what was then my VCR.
Yeah.
And in fact, laugh, look at this. I've got my VHS.
Nice.
I've got my VHS of White Line Fever, which is
Still wrapped.
It's
in the
still
plastic.
wrapped in the self. It's still wrapped in the plastic. I paid $86 for this way back in like the late 90s or late 90s on
Look at
VHS.
that.
Okay. And you couldn't get it.
That's awesome.
So of that.
Oh, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, you can go now. You can get it on Tubi. You can see it all. It's all over. You can watch it on YouTube. I have several copies, but I never. If it's on, I'll always watch it. And so this impetus of the redoing the stunt came on with Mike, and I thought, well, there's only one guy because he's the guy that's done it in Hollywood. I mean, they're the guys that do it.
Right.
And he loved the idea. He's always been open to it. And so what we did first out of the gates. I want to just preface to everybody that if you did go onto our Kickstarter, which we made,
the Kickstarter thing,
we made like nothing. We did that as we just tried to dip our toe into the water with that to see if we could get to our goal. But the problem is to get eyeballs in this day and age. You can do these things, and if you don't get the circulation or you don't get the right eyeballs on it, and it doesn't go to the algorithm to wherever you're floating out in the sea. Yeah. And so that's kind of where we were, but. Our Kickstarter just ended. I think it just ended yesterday or day before. And we didn't meet our goal, but we're not quitting by any stretch of the imagination. We're working on trying to solicit sponsors, relevant sponsors that want to join us for this crusade. And I have copious amounts of the video from the Kickstarter and lots of polished things in our pitch package that what we can bring to the table and what we're going to do. And we've got 2 locations. It's either LA at a private film ranch that Mike owns or a really big facility in Vegas, which has that one. We really like it. And it's there. It's on the platter for us to get to. We're just trying to put together, like I said, some relevant sponsors, 1 or a dozen, doesn't bother us if they're a smaller sponsor or a larger sponsor. We just need to get in some traction and going on shows and talking, guys like you is a big part of it, to see if maybe we could find the right person that say, hey, I've got an ad budget with some leftover dollars. And if you want to take a look at us, we're squeaky clean dudes. We may be old as dirt, but we're still kicking. And all of these stories, if you don't tell them now, will never be told. So what we want to do with it is juxtapose the stunt and what they did in 75 with Buddy Joe. And Mike's parallel here is how the industry of stuntmen and stunt coordinators, stunt women, are under siege from AI. It's taking over what even where traditional stunts are in a film or would be. They're doing it for budgetary reasons. And now as the audience member, we're all in there. I mean, who are we kidding? I saw Jurassic Park in 1993 when it came out. I was in line. I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. AI or whatever it was, CGI then, not AI, but CGI has been around for a long time. Well, what we want to do is go beyond into the story, into this documentary of we're going to show you, because he's got a really good friend that's got a studio in New Mexico or Arizona somewhere that does top Hollywood stuff that you've seen, I've seen, and it's a good friend of Mike's because, again, he's been in the industry for a long time, and Mike's he's a very interesting character to talk to. And we want to juxtapose what they did with White Line Fever with the Blue Mule stunt and how it has changed the game. In like today, if you were producing a film and that's delivered movie and we had to have a truck stunt in it, you're going to either go to an AI house and you're going to pay them a chunk of money. Okay. It's going to cost you a chunk of money, or you're going to take a chunk of money, not as much money, and pay the stunt coordinator to do it in the analog way, which is the best way, because you know that when you're watching a movie, when I am, if it's so overdone with the special effects, you're like,
it loses your attention. Isn't that crazy?
It's like, I can't.
No way this is real.
You can't even watch it anymore. It's like, what is this? So that's sort of the pocket that we're doing with the White Line Fever stunt. And this, the biggest point that I can underscore, Ray, is Buddy Joe Hooker himself. The guy is 82 years old. He does Pilates every day. He just finished a movie with major stars in 2025. He's still in the business.
Yeah.
You could go on and watch, like on our Kickstarter, if you went on to that. I don't know if it's still up or if you can still see it, but if not, you can.
Yeah, I'll get the link. Check it out.
You can look and see where,
right link.
or go on to Buddy Joe Hooker onto YouTube and look up Buddy Joe Hooker and Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino is quite famous as a Hollywood director. He's done everything.
Yeah,
he loves Buddy Joe Hooker like he's his dad. And it's not just me. He is beloved throughout Hollywood. He's an absolute living legend. And not only is he into what we want to do with White Line Fever, I've got videos of him talking to me, saying how he's expressing everything. When I first got his phone number from Mike, we've got major components put together for this.
Yeah.
And it's really, I want to get to Buddy Joe Hooker so he can tell that aspect and then go back to, like I said, White Line Fever and the magazine, which had it on the cover.
Oh yeah, you got it.
I got to show you. This is White Line Fever on Laserdisc.
Oh, Laserdisc.
Oh, Laserdisc.
Right.
Unopened.
Man, got to hold on to that one. Don't get rid of that.
Those are lobby cards from the film. I'm not just a poser. I mean, this is my part of my office, and I love the stuff. This is White Line Fever on the cover of Overdrive. On the cover of Overdrive, you can see it. Here's the truck smashing
Nice
through.
job. Holding on.
Okay, so that is from the Independence issue in '75. When I was a little kid, I got this from my grandpa, and this is before the movie came out. Yeah. When I opened it up and saw 15 pages worth, holy Lord! So that is where we're going to dive into that pool with Buddy Joe Hooker, who was the man that coordinated the stunt. He's the man. He's the guy. So it can't get better than that. So we're hoping that we can get a few, people that, sponsors that like history, like anything with an engine, and certainly stunts. I mean, stunts are as cool as it gets. I mean, everyone likes a stunt man, right? It's like if you say to somebody, "What do you do? What do you do?" I'm a stunt man, and you're like, "Uh-oh, he's a badass," right?
Yeah.
You automatically know a stuntman's a badass. Only now it's AI. Now you're like, hey, I'm a badass with my keyboard. They're not even stunts, really. They're not even. I told Mike, I said, AI stunts aren't even stunts.
Yeah, so you guys got that same problem that the trucking industry has with the artificial intelligence, the autonomous trucks. You're like, well, we're at a race. We're like, who's going to win, or are we going to just work together, or is one going to eliminate the other? And it's all about what the people want. So we got to keep pushing the human factor, I think. Keep telling people how important it is that the humans are involved in this whole process, not to just go all
100%. Because remember, technologies they're not foolproof. How many times have we been watching our smart TV and you got to reboot the smart TV sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't matter if it glitches out one time, and if let's say it's a major truck manufacturer that's making an autonomous 18-wheeler. And if it glitches and has a software issue one time in Ohio on the turnpike, well, do you want your family next to it when it happens? Because I don't want my family next to it when it happens, or however it's going to happen. So that's really where the double-edged sword is. I'd rather have a truck driver, okay, not a truck driving.
Yeah, going down Donner's Path or something. That's crazy.
You've been down Donner's Path?
Oh yeah.
I'm going to tell you this. I'll tell the audience the same thing. Of all the episodes of American Trucker, I'm very proud of all of them. Bud Brutzman and Steve Beebe were my other executive producers, and Steve Beebe, still to this day, is one of my favorite people. I learned so much from him. He is without him, there would be no American Trucker. It was he and I that built it. He's the guy that I told you about that we'd fly around on his dime and time. And the guy that I met.
Yeah, you told me.
We did an episode that on it was called Whiteout on Donner Pass. And this was in season 1. When you pitch a show to the networks, they want a list of your episodes,
right,
for forecasting where and what the series will be. And I had listed at least 25 episodes written out. One of them was White Line Fever. Another one was the pusher trucks on Donner Pass. And people didn't know what the pusher trucks were. And I knew them since I was a kid, because of Overdrive magazine, reading it and seeing them. The CF guys were running out the Pacific Northwest, and they would be up and down the summit, Donner Pass on 70. Is it 70? And they would get their trucks stuck sometimes in the snow. And these guys back at the garage said, we're going to go up there and rescue our trucks because they're stuck. So they were always running doubles, and they had Freightliner, day cab, single screw, just mini tractors with the doubles. Yeah. And they had them all bogged down with chains and all kinds of cool stuff. And it just looked gnarly as hell, but they'd get stuck. Well, they took those cabs and they built a box over the rear axle and filled it with cement. Then they welded a huge stinger bar. They called it a stinger on the front of their trucks. They did this back at the CF shops, the mechanics, and put some lights on it. And they went up onto Donner Pass and found their trucks and pushed the suckers over the summit through the snow.
Wow.
It became legendary. When I knew this as a kid, okay, this is, again, the industry is so not what it was. Okay, it's just so not what it was. But I was enamored. These were like superheroes to me, totally superheroes.
That's awesome.
And so we wanted to do this episode called Whiteout on Donner Pass, where I would go when a whiteout happens. Nobody wants to deliver.
Really?
Oh, you don't want to go to Donner Pass in a whiteout.
No.
Ray? I came back from shooting an episode. I literally landed in Orlando. Stephanie called me, one of the producers, and she said, Rob, I know that you're supposed to have a week off, but you just got a call, and they're supposed to get a ton of snow on Donner Pass. And can you go tomorrow and fly out? And I'm like, yeah, because we've been chasing the episode for 2 seasons. I said, let's go. And so when we did, we didn't know what we were getting into until we got into it. During the episode live, I lost my camera crew. I had one small camera that was with me that salvaged the episode. They shut down the entire interstate. There was 47 vehicle pileup, including, I think, 8 big rigs, fatalities. I was embedded with Caltrans on the show. It's the best. I should have won an Emmy Award, but I didn't realize that you had to pay to play for Emmy Awards. This Whiteout on Donner Pass from American Trucker is the best episode I've ever done. And it was they were all real, but this one was way beyond. I literally was out of the Caltrans vehicle with people screaming, sliding in diesel fuel. There was this lady who was driving a doubles, and her truck was over the cliff, had to be 5,000 feet straight down. The only thing holding her truck on was where the metal guardrails are, and then there's the wooden posts that go in. Those posts are probably 8 feet long. I didn't know they were that long. It was sucked out all the way to about 6 feet, and it was barely holding her truck on. She was in the cab. There was nobody on site yet. There wasn't even. I was standing in mayhem. So yeah, done a lot on American Trucker. Done a lot.
I was going to ask you, what's your favorite or most memorable moment? And I think that was it, man.
I think you're right. I think that's got to be what. I mean, for sure. I mean, CDL school was cool, but Whiteout on Donner Pass was just over the moon. But NASA was. I mean, that was insane. We did the last launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger.
No way.
Or Discovery, rather. Discovery. Yeah, we did the last launch with it, and nobody knew that there's a fleet of 67 Peterbilt needle noses that have supported every Apollo program all the way through the space shuttle. And I take him right on in. I went to go find the rigs. There was a ton of stuff that what needs to happen? We need to put the show back on the air right now as it is, out of its time capsule, and watch how beautifully it's aged, because the show is amazing. Like I said, Steve Beebe, he's the man behind it all. But
man, everything goes on the truck. I mean, I think they put that shuttle in the museum, and I think they had to close out a lot of roads, and so that was on the back of trucks.
There's still a whole lot that I've got. Listen, this is sad because I've got full tanks on episodes and things. I've tried to get. I couldn't go out and make American Trucker 2 because the network would slap me down quite hard. Yeah. So I had come up with an alternate series. I had come up with Smoke and Mirrors. I did projects called Semi Freaks, where I have all this content, and yeah, and it is there's so much more on it. And going back into my episodes, I really want to go back to the NASA guys, because these trucks that's supplied. They're called refrigerant trucks. They cooled the space capsules down when they landed, and or supported like the Apollo rockets. They would have all this nitrogen and weird things they would put in the rockets. And there was Peterbilts that were pulling them out to the space pad, to the launch pad.
Oh.
Those trucks are still around. I think they're around.
Yeah.
Because I'm
doing my research here.
Yeah. So I want to go back in and get one of them stuck into a museum. There are so many things, and it's like, well, I'm to the point where I'm just by myself, and if I go and I need a crew, to go out and film it all, and I got to do justice to it. So that's why I'm sitting on a couple of things.
Yeah, I wish I could join your crew. That's amazing.
You consider it. It's a done deal. We'll be fast friends. But it's interesting content. And what I was saying about what we're doing with White Line Fever is, it's sort of an escape. It's an exit off of this crazy industry that we're facing right now. And I want, there's got to be more of that around, so we can, it's not all doom and gloom, and it's not all hurry. The news media is playing another crash. They love the sensationalism of it. And I'm not saying it's a good thing that they're discovering illegal CDL mills. It's terrible. I mean, getting a license in 24 hours, you went to school, man. Could you imagine that? 24 hours.
That's crazy. They got professional test takers too. People that go out to the DMV or whatever and just take tests and then hand off the license because, I don't know, maybe they can pass off as looking like the other guy.
Ray, imagine this. So let's just say you or I went out and we wanted to get our CDL, and within a day, all we did was we paid some guy, some Scalota on the side, and he gives us that license. And now you somehow, I don't know how, think of this, you end up getting a job at a company, or you getting into a truck. How? With insurance? I don't know. However, they actually get up in it. And the day comes where they're with an elite. They know that, well, you'd be getting into your truck with it says no name, no name CDL.
I don't believe that's real.
No name. It's real. It says no name, and you're the guy. Let's say you're a Keith, whatever his name is, from India that did the U-turn on the turnpike in Florida. Yeah. And you get it, and you're in that truck. Wouldn't you be terrified of killing someone, let alone yourself? I mean, you don't even know how to drive. What it is scary. It is scary driving an 18-wheeler if you don't know what you're doing. It is scary.
The first time I got in one, I was pretty scared.
Scary. It's scary.
I tell people that, and they're like, well, I drive school bus.
No, that's not articulating. A school bus is a straight chassis. And if you're out there in an articulating rig with 80,000 plus, and you're in traffic,
totally different.
You're in traffic with people with a newborn baby next to you. These people, they don't give a shit about us. They're just out there hand over fist taking them and out there crashing and burning and doing whatever. It's like, yeah, la, 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 la. Meanwhile, the industry is like getting black eyes every 5 minutes. Terrible. It's terrible.
You nailed it.
Don't get me going. Don't get me going, Ray.
Yeah, something's got to change.
You can.
Because it's people out there, like you said, babies, young ones out there, vulnerable to this greed. The greed is gonna get us, man. It's not good. Money's not everything. All money ain't good money, right?
The responsible aspects of American trucking are what's seemingly right now dying on the vine. It's like, whoa. That was the thing when I was a kid. When I would meet these truck drivers at the local truck stops, and I would, every single time I would meet them, I just was enamored with them. They were just, they wore their chain wallet and they got their hat on, their boots, their Wrangler jeans, and they're all, they're out polishing stuff, checking fluid, just pride everywhere. And now the guy's, he's inside of his cab watching Pornhub and throwing his urine bottle out the door. And it's just like, what the
out the window.
Yeah, out the window. Have you heard this? Oh God, have you heard this? This is credible information that I got from. I've got a lot of sources.
Talk to me.
I have heard now. This was in the last couple of years. There are Chinese groups of drivers that are in the United States, and they're from all over. I mean, listen, any person that has come here illegally, it is. When the door was kicked wide open on purpose, and the message was very clear to them that the borders are wide open in America, come on in. and whatever. And the percentage of them that were truck drivers, and there was a great percentage of them that came from everywhere, from Tunisia to wherever, they've gotten in, and they've gotten onto the highways. Doesn't matter if you're Chinese or a Venezuelan, or I don't care what.
Right. Yeah, the race thing isn't really what it is.
Yeah, I don't care what they are. I just heard from the story was
Mm-hmm.
that these Chinese guys are in the trucks, 4 and 5 of them. They remove the passenger seat. They cut a hole in the floorboards for a toilet, and they never stop running. They just rotate them in and out of the seats, and they run the truck 24/7. And they're crapping. Listen, I'm not kidding you. The guy that told me the story, who I said sells at the corporate level of Kenworth, knows his customers, and has said that there are guys and DOT guys, especially the guys that are in, like my friend Skeet Hardis of Conover, North Carolina, who runs Skeet's Towing. He was on American Trucker. Those guys see the side of the crashes where they've got to go and clean them up off the interstates where they crash. Yeah. And they won't even there's now this is it's like an epidemic in the trucking, in the tow truck industry, that there are drivers, the recovery drivers, that won't even touch the trucks because the entire side is full of feces and urine from going down. And I mean coated. Can you imagine how long they don't even wash these trucks off? They said they won't even touch them because it's a biohazard. How can you make that up? That's not made up. That's reality.
Yeah, you got to get in there to release the axle to drivetrain. If you can't get to the boat because it's covered with poop
and pee. Imagine if the thing is turned over on the interstate, right? And you got to walk up there, and you're like, it's 2 a.m, and there's mayhem. The roads are shut down. And you're like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
People don't even realize.
It eats up the ammonia eats up.
It's the real thing. And I'm telling you, it's a real thing. It's a real thing because it couldn't have that couldn't be like some folklore tale from the road thing. This is real. That trickled down from my guy to where, and it all makes sense. It's like,
I've heard of them going in bags and then throwing the bag out the window.
And think about this. You're a human being. You're a human being. And that not only are you doing that, okay, but you're throwing the bag out the window, which it could kill someone from the bag flying on the windshield. Maybe grandma can't see, or
that's what happened.
Crap goes all up the windshield or the whatever.
It was raining that day, and it hit the windshield and bust.
Yeah, or your car.
911. Yeah.
When you're not in your truck, I'm sure you like your car or your motorcycle or whatever you're driving. Would you want that thrown all over your car?
No.
It's littering on top of it. It's like, what? You don't care about the highways. You don't care about the people on the highways. You don't care about anything except themselves.
Right.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Very selfish mentality. Greed
is.
It's nasty. Yeah.
It is nasty, Ray, and it's gross. But you know what? It's like we said. If we could just maybe take the adapt like the state of Florida and what they're doing to catch them, because that's all we're trying to do. Nobody, if you're a legal and a law-abiding CDL holder, you don't have any worries. What the hell do you have to worry about? But if the guy's behind you that's running 4 or 5 guys and the seat's removed and he's pooping and peeing through the hole and he did come in and they find out that they're illegal, I want them off the road now. So do you. I would want them off now.
Yeah, I'm a team driver too, so I've been back sleeping and hoping that while I'm sleeping, I'll be able to wake up.
Yeah, watch some. I'll send you an episode of I think I might have sent it for the CDL episode. I think on there we managed to get a clip from this driver that was out in California that didn't make it, and he was overdriving the truck too fast on the turns, and his co-driver was sleeping in the sleeper when he did it, killed them both. It's terrible. You don't know. Yeah. So that your co-driver you have to have as much faith as him as like your brother. I mean, you have to be able to trust your co-driver.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if your co-driver is some dude that got his license on a 24-hour CDL mill and doesn't know how to drive to save his life anyway? And if it wasn't for, you know what, this may be a small little microcosm of it, but I know that the majority of the trucks now automatics so they can get more people into the seats to drive them. I think that's also the biggest double-edged sword that there is. Because you would eliminate so many drivers that can't drive stick. Double clutching. I went to CDL school double clutching. you would eliminate them because half of these guys, they couldn't drive to save their lives.
I think you nailed it on that one. That did open up a lot. And then two, I've seen the entitlement where they feel like every truck should be automatic now.
Yeah.
They got an 8 restriction, but they're like, why? What's with the 18 speed and the 10
Yep.
speed? Like,
hey, Ray, I know friends like my friend. I have so many driver friends, especially my friend Brad. An 18 speed, I'm terrified. I could never drive in it. I tell them all the time. I'm like, I never drove over the road, and I didn't need to. I didn't go into trucking over the road. But if you put me with an 18 speed, I'd have to have a week seat time to watch you to get comfortable with it.
Well, at least you respect it, and the fact that they, what they're saying is that get with the times. They should all be automatic. I'm like, what? No,
actually,
I love changing gears.
Yeah, and it would eliminate if they said right now, hey, it's a mandate. They couldn't all park all the automatics because everything's automatic. But if it was manuals, you wouldn't have probably half of this problem.
Yeah,
because
they just schools they say, oh, it's too expensive to get the manuals worked on because the students are grinding the gears. So we just got all automatics. And I was like, oh.
Here we are again. So
we're
out here, two dudes just talking about it, and there's a major issue right there that has ramifications all across the boards.
Yeah,
but that's what's happening. When you make it simple, and then they all think they can drive it because it's big. It's big, it's automatic. I can drive it. No, you can't. Yeah. It's 8 feet wide, for the love of God.
Yeah,
I mean, your trailer's 53 feet. You're pushing almost 70 feet in one lane, and if you got a guy that doesn't know what they're doing, and like the one in California, how do you not even stop? He didn't even apply the brakes.
Yeah,
I mean, aren't you behind the wheel terrified? I mean, think about that. Nobody wants to crash. I mean, can you look up and see that? You're not even hitting the brakes. It's like, what's going on? Andre?
Yeah, that's a butt pucker right up. Whoa.
I mean, he's wigged out on whatever he's wigged out on.
Stomach's in your throat. Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine. But there's so many of these stories. And you know what's even worse, Ray? Is the families and of the people that they left behind for no reason at all are living now without their dad or their uncle or their mom because hey, some ridiculous politician got their palm greased at his local level to say, hey, when this bill comes up, we need favorability to vote on that, and we'll give you your money for your bridge in your town, and this is what they're doing. And they don't even realize that the legislation that they've passed to do this or make it however they made it legal. How did they make it legal? I don't know how the previous administration allowed.
Yeah. You're talking to stay away from the politics, but man, because it's just
no. I'm with you all the way. I'm just simply saying the reality is. But how could you, no matter if it was Mickey Mouse as the president, how do you, as an industry, with regulations and tests, your P tests and everything else, how are you getting away with the illegal? Somebody's turning a blind eye somewhere.
Yeah.
Completely blind.
And I hope it gets better because, like you said, people are dying, and that's
big time.
Doesn't matter who's in there. Somebody's paying the price.
Yeah, so. and eventually we all are.
Yeah.
And we also are paying the price. We're also paying the price of diesel fuel being $3.75.
Wow.
Why is diesel fuel so high? It's supposed to come down.
It's gotta be. Sometimes it's just that easy.
What do you normally haul? What do you guys haul, Ray?
So yeah, I work for UPS right now. So
oh baby, how about it? UPS, are you like a sub driver?
Yeah, I go over the road 48. So right now I'm going Salt Lake. I go there.
Nice. I'm gonna send you my UPS episode.
Yeah, I got to check it out when you said that.
Love it. And you're gonna make note because I have a beard in it.
Okay.
And they don't
That's
allow
maybe
it.
What it is. Yeah.
Got a beard now too, though, but you can drive for UPS.
Yeah.
At then they didn't allow it. When I was filming it, we said to the network, they said, "Can he shave?" And I said, "I simply can't because we were in the middle of filming, and pickups are if we missed something that we had to film, and all of a sudden my beard left in the middle of the same episode." Okay. It didn't jive. So when we were filming at UPS, it's in the episode. It's hilarious.
No, you're great because UPS is there's a lot of talk about that too, and we lowered the standard to the
see, I think that Rob broke the ice.
Walmart's doing a great job, man. If you watch those guys, their uniforms are so crisp and tight, man. They look fresh.
There's
they're doing a great job. I know there was a big lawsuit with Tracy Morgan, an accident that happened, but I think they put safety first now. Walmart's probably setting the bar pretty high.
They have to. They have to. The benchmark is they set the benchmark. You're the largest retailer in the world.
Yeah.
So if you're that and you've got the fleets of everything, and you know that the ramifications of that are industry wide. They're buying, what do the majority have? Freightliners. Those are contracts. Everybody's got contracts for oil. Everybody's got contract for tires. They got contracts for light bulbs. They got contracts for everything. So you better set the standard.
Trailers. That's a problem. They subcontract a lot of their work out. Walmart's setting the standard. I don't know if people like where they shop or whatever, who they want to support, but those are again the big box stores. But yeah, we got to keep raising the bar. We can't let it go lower. We got to keep the standards up there. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking about it and how it also affected your life. And I mean, man, you've been through a lot of struggles.
I'm still out there. I'm still out there trying to row the boat to the shore somewhere. But it's okay. We got a lot of things happening. Hopefully we can get some sponsors kicking on White Line Fever, and we're going to show you what we're really up to.
Nice. No pain, no gain, though. That's what they say, right?
Honest to God, it's so true. And I look back at when it took me years to get American Trucker off the ground, and since it's been like, whoa, mama. But you know what? I still have a lot of energy to do it, and we've got.
I can see it.
I'm ready to rock and roll with it.
You're gonna do great. Yeah, you're great already. So we just got to be blessed with some more. Yeah,
you're awesome, man. You're awesome. Certainly appreciate you.
So, man, to all the listeners out there, Rob, I really appreciate you telling about your story. It means a lot to you, and also it resonates for anyone, whoever is want to know more about big rigs. I mean, go all the way back to when you were 5 or 7 years old. Man, that's awesome, man.
Hey, and this is it's like a news flash for everybody. I rejoined. Let me find it for you. I rejoined. Hold on here. Did I just block you off? Okay.
No, you're good.
I just rejoined at Real Rob American Trucker on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
At Real Rob American Trucker. There's only a couple little things on there, but I put myself back into the stream on there.
I know what that's like. You got to give it a break, come back to it.
At Real Rob American Trucker on X, and we have Semi Freaks on Instagram, which when you see them, if anybody goes in them, it looks like crickets, but we're trying to breathe life into it all now and trying to float back into with these projects, what we're doing. But I'm trying to make a resounding comeback of sorts in just these passion projects and what we're doing.
You're going to do it, man.
Oh, and truckstunts.com, Mike Ryan's site. That's where you can get any information on White Line Fever, truckstunts.com.
That's the spot. All right. Any other spots? Are you on LinkedIn at all, or?
I don't try to go on LinkedIn only because it's Facebook related and Facebook owns it, and Facebook, remember, did give me death threats and whatnot. So I'm not warmed back up to them yet.
All right.
I'm just not warm.
Maybe you put on ice. Put those guys on ice.
Yeah, I put them on ice for a while, but you never know. I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I mean, I'm going back. I'm on X. I've got Semi Freaks at Instagram, and maybe if I get some traffic on there, that'll prompt me to start posting some things.
Sweet. I'm glad to have you back on the ones that you are on. So anybody out there, please look for Rob and give all the support you can for White Line Fever Project. I think it isn't just about, recreating stunts. It's also about celebrating the trucking legacy and proving that the spirit of the open road still burns strong. So a lot of people out there, hey, trucking's not over. We're not giving up yet. So that's it, man. We want to put this episode out there for the listeners. Anything else you want to say before we go?
I just thank you for having me on, Ray. I really appreciate it. And thanks for your patience, because I know that I pushed you off, but I wasn't doing it deliberately, my friend.
Oh, I know, man. No. I'm easy going, man. Easy going.
Appreciate that about you, man. Appreciate you.
You got it. Hey, I'm Trucking Ray, and that's Delivered. This is the podcast that keeps stories rolling and delivering strong stories for people for the end. Until the
That's
end
right. That's right. We'll take the trucking industry back. We'll take it back by storm.
That's right.